In today's video, I'm going to be working on a board game that's new to me, Godtear. This Eternal Glade starter box comes with 2 warbands, and in this video, I'm going to paint up Morrigan and her warband of coal bones. Before starting, I'm going to wash these miniatures in dish soap and hot water. I leave the miniatures in there for at least an hour, and then after that, I wash them and dry them off before I begin painting. I begin by priming all my miniatures black. I usually use an airbrush for this, but you can also use an aerosol spray can if that's what you have. Make sure you have complete coverage of all of the models and that they are primed from every direction. Next, I switch to a gray primer. I'm going to apply this with an airbrush as well, but you can use it out of an aerosol can the same way. The key here is to Zenithal highlight the models, which means you want to hit it from a 30 to 45 degree angle all the way around. This creates a lighter surface up on top and keeps the bottom sides and the crevices black. Next, I'm going to dry brush some white onto the models. And what are they calling it these days?
Slapping your troubles away with a slap chop. Now look, here's
I don't think I'm going to be calling it that. I'll just say it's Zenithal Plus. How about that? Using a large makeup brush like this and making sure there's only a residue of white on it, I dry brush this onto all the raised edges on all the models. This helps enhance their edges. Later, when we use speed paints or contrast paints, you are able to get a lighter highlight and a darker recess. Now let's start base coating the models. I use palette bone speed paint for all the skeletal heads and also the zombie fight skin on the coal bones as well as Morrigan. This color will be going on the head, the arms, and the legs. Now this palette bone speed paint may seem to lay down pretty thin, but don't apply too much of it because it actually pixelizes quite heavily after it dries. Usually just one layer of this paint should be enough. Also, don't forget to paint the 2 skulls that are on the banner. Next, I switched to Hive Dweller Purple Speed Paint. I decided to go with a paint scheme that features more cold colors, and purple is a subset of blue. As you will see later, I have made the models look predominantly blue. This purple colored speed paint basically goes on all the fabric portions on any of the models, namely the loincloths as well as the flowing robe on Morrigan. The next speed paint that I put on is hardened leather, and I put this on all the wooden parts. Basically all the handles of the axes, and also Morrigan's staff. This is also a color I use on all the various straps, like over here in the front of Morrigan's robe, the rope cord on her right hip, and the various straps that you will find on the coal bones. I switched to Gravelord Gray Speed Paint, and this only goes in one area, which is on the banner. All the portions that look like jagged rock get this color. I avoid the areas that are a little bit more organic because those I'll be painting as flame. Next, switch to regular acrylics. Using gunmetal metallic paint, I paint on all the armored portions on Morrigan and the coal bones. Almost all the models have shoulder pauldrons, but some of them have breastplates, armored wrist guards, and shin guards as well. There are also armored panels around the hips that you would want to paint silver. I also put silver on the buckles on the front of Morrigan's robes, the ones on the leather straps. The various weapons wielded by the coal bones also get silver. The next paint that I use is what really pulls this scheme together. I'll be using Turbo Dork's Ice to Never color shifting paint. And this color is going to be one that I put on all the flames that are on the banner, as well as multiple areas on all the coal bones, as well as Morrigan. Here on the banner, anything that looks organic and flowy gets this blue color. And I basically follow this across the rest of the warband. Here on the top of Morrigan's staff, I paint the flames blue. I also paint the flames that come out of her shoulders blue as well. I also used this color shifting paint in all the eye sockets. The neat effect of this paint is the color shifting, which creates a very mystical and undead property to the magic and the magical flames that come out of each model. For the coal bones, I put this blue color shifting paint basically on the swirly shapes on the base. I also propagated up each of their legs, looking as if there is a magical oozing pool underneath them, empowering them and bringing them back to life. To continue with the theme, I will be using Blue Tone by Army Painter to wash all the armor plates. This will give a cold, almost eerie glow to the armor plates, making them look like a truly reanimated undead army. I continued this wash onto the weapons as well, giving them the same blue type glow. After this, you're basically done, but I'm going to continue and add a few more additional steps like highlights and basing. For their heads, arms, and legs, I'm going to be highlighting them with skeletal bone from Army Painter. The palette bone speed paint tends to be a little bit dark, so I highlighted certain areas that I wanted to give a little bit more attention with the skeletal bone color. Since these speed paints actually created a fairly dark look to these models, I decided to highlight most of the edges. This is because I wanted to give them a little bit more of a visual pop, so you can see the raised surfaces more clearly compared to just contrast or speed paints. Here you can see a model that's highlighted versus one that isn't, and the differences are pretty stark. I continued the highlighting treatment with Morrigan as well. You'll notice that I applied this bone color quite a bit on the top domes of their heads. This is because the head tends to be a visual focal point for most of these models, so I wanted to make sure that they were bright enough and captured enough attention. If you're following this highlighting step, be sure to highlight the skulls that are on the banner as well. Morrigan's robes turned out pretty dark as well, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight them with alien purple. I use the same slightly smaller detailing brush, and then I lightly feather the highlighting onto all the raised edges. Using the same method and color, I also highlight the loincloths on all the coal bones. Next, I mix in some matte white into the alien purple just to create a slightly lighter tone. Not too much lighter, just a little bit. And what I'm going to do with this color is I am going to highlight a little bit on top of the purple that I just laid down earlier. It will not be every edge, it will be mainly the edges that are closer to the top of the model where the light source is, so it creates differentiation between things that are closer to the light source versus something that's farther away. I do some of the secondary highlighting on the coal bones as well to create the same kind of effect. Next, I switch to leather brown acrylic paint, and I use this color to highlight Morrigan's staff. I also highlight the handles of the axes for the coal bones. Next is basing, and I'm going to be using this white sand that I got from the dollar store, and also this glue, which is an equivalent to Elmer's glue. I apply the Elmer's glue onto the flat areas of the base, and I spread it on with an old brush. I then dunk the whole base into the white sand and then tap off the excess, cleaning off the rims, and it should look like this when you're done. I repeat the similar process with Morrigan, except her base has a lot more flat areas. I do not put it on all the squiggly areas which would represent the blue magical flame, but I do put it on all the flats like this. I next whip out the blue tone again, and I use a very old frayed brush for this. I soak the brush in the blue tone and I dab it onto the areas closest to the blue color shifting paint. This creates a glow effect as if the magic is actually reflecting off the white of the snow. And I do the same for Morrigan. She has a lot of tendrils of blue flame coming out all the way around her, so this effect goes all the way around the base. After varnishing the models, they're all done. I really enjoyed painting these models, and I liked using this very cold, almost lifeless tone all throughout the Warband. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you join me for the next one where I paint up Nia and her quartz slings. Till then, happy hobbing, and I'll see you soon.